Good morning. Hello, everybody, and welcome in. Friday here with Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. I'm at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where Price sells cars. Barry's got his Troy baseball hat on, so I know he's with Troy baseball. We're just not real sure where. Where are you today, Barry?
In Mobile, Alabama, where the Trojans open up a 3-game series tonight against the South Alabama Jaguars. There's rain in the forecast, so today's game has been moved from 6 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And who knows, we may play a doubleheader on Sunday, all that kind of stuff. Those decisions will be made later. But, yeah, traveling down by bus yesterday, went straight to a workout with the team. And by the time we got back and ate, it was late. I missed everything that happened yesterday in Tuscaloosa. I'd love to know from some people out there the high points of the presidential visit, but I don't want anybody to miss out on just how important this weekend is, because over at Stivers Ford Lincoln on the Eastern Boulevard of the Troy Highway, that vehicle behind John is literally one of hundreds and hundreds of vehicles they have on the lot, and one of them is waiting for you.
It is, Barry. We're here in the Lincoln side of the showroom. We always tell you Lincoln luxury for less here at Stivers Ford Lincoln in Montgomery. This is a Lincoln Nautilus. It is beautiful. It can be yours. You can be driving out of here by lunch today, or if not sooner. Great lineup of Lincoln vehicles here for you. Also the Ford lineup. I noticed as I drove into the lot today, Barry, Broncos are everywhere. When you drive down the drive here at Stivers Ford, there are Broncos on either side. So great deals on the Bronco lineup. And, of course, you can get the Bronco Sport starting as low as just $25,990. But, of course, Barry, it's employee pricing. You pay what they pay across the full lineup of cars, trucks, and SUVs here at Stivers. Hey, beat the tariffs. Get ahead of the tariffs. And, of course, you really don't have to worry about that with Ford products, because of any major car manufacturer, they do most of their assembly here in the United States.
That's right.
Vast majority of it. So you don't have to worry as much about that as you do with some other car makers, but take advantage of it, because you're right, Barry. I'm telling you, I think today might have surpassed. I mean, when I pulled in, I went, man, I mean, they're everywhere. I'm blown away every time. Yeah. But it was Broncos today. I mean, they are Broncos. That must be what they're featuring, because, man, when you drive up, there are Broncos everywhere.
I love it. Love it. The selection, service, incredible pricing. Nobody stocks more. Nobody sells more than Stivers Ford Lincoln, or any of the Stivers locations. John is at the Eastern Boulevard, where it intersects with the Troy Highway in Montgomery, Alabama. So did you all I've done is, as far as Nick Saban's appearance at Alabama's commencement, oh, yeah, and the president was there. There were a couple of faux pas, I thought. When Trump,
do tell.
When Trump, when he got introduced by Saban, he asked the students to remember if they can remember where they were when Saban retired. And Trump says, Nick Saban, what a great coach. Let's bring him back. Wrong thing to say, boys. You know, people cheering left and right, and the board's going, you know.
Oh, wait a minute.
I was like, yeah. And then he said, no, you got a good coach right now. You got a good coach right now, blah, blah, blah. Man, don't do that, because there's some people out there. I did see one picture that somebody took. I wish I could remember who it was, of Saban giving the address beforehand. And, you know, he's got students behind him. It's at commencement yesterday at the University of Alabama. And the students they have one girl behind him. She's looking at him like it's the second coming, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, her face is alight like that. The picture of him, and he's got the podium in front of him, and it says the President of the United States of America. There's a lot of people out there that, let's just say, they got aroused about that.
I looked at that. You know, my number three. number 3 child is wrapped up, and so he was at home and he wanted to watch it. Okay, great. So he pulled it up. Actually, believe it or not, Hannity showed it on his show last night. I don't think CNN showed it or anybody else, but Hannity had it on his program. And we were watching it and saw some of those aspects of it. Saw Saban standing behind the podium with the seal of the President of the United States. And
some people out there are going,
that looks pretty good.
It does. Suits
like
him,
that.
you know.
I said, now they might need to get a little box for him to stand on because that podium kind of overshadowed Saban a little bit.
Well, Trump is 6'3" or so.
Yeah,
so, you know.
From a height standpoint, but I
Yeah.
looked at that and I went, yeah, that looks pretty good. But the students standing behind him, sitting behind him. I wondered who got to sit there. That was kind of interesting. They were all smiling. I don't know if they told him to smile the whole time or whatnot, but you know, it was well done, I would say. I mean, typical speech. I mean, nothing that I wouldn't have expected differently. I thought Saban's part of it was good too. We do have a clip. We're going to pull it up here in a moment, Barry. We're going to get a ruling on the ovation. You know, we mentioned yesterday.
Yeah, we had a little something on the ovation length.
Yeah, that I think Saban was minus 120. Trump was even money by my account. And I wasn't expecting, you know, the $1 million band to play the presidential song when Trump entered the arena. I wasn't expecting the crowd to chant USA, USA when Trump got on stage. Those things I didn't factor in. And I got to think that's what took Trump over the top in terms of ovation time and maybe the magnitude of the ovation. But
it was magnitude is probably a good word to use about all of it. My buddy Les Peralt down in Ozark, I don't know of a better guy. He says that girl in the background was a Carroll alumnus from down at Carroll High School, which Ozark is known for 3 people: Harmon Bryant, Wilbur Jackson. Is that right? Wilbur Jackson and Les Peralt. So hey, Ozark got a little love on him.
Where was Mal Moore from?
You got me. That I don't know.
I mean, I want to say Ozark, but maybe it wasn't.
Maybe he was. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe another small town. Is Clio? Is that a town? Have I heard of that?
Oh, that's where That's where George Wallace was from. Is from Clio.
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
That's where Don Sutton was from too. So
Clio.
You know, believe me, I've been to Clio 1,000 times. But it did Trump make any? Let me get my mind right here. Did Saban? Did he lose some luster in some people's eyes? They had the little protest out there, all that kind of stuff. He's been pretty good about being apolitical, not getting, all during his career, not really taking sides and stuff like that, which I think you kind of have to do.
Yeah.
But was that a polarizing thing for Saban to do? Did some people, and you know how people are, send emails and stuff that said, "I've got to say I'm disappointed in Saban for appearing with that guy." Trump is such a polarizing guy.
I haven't seen any of the protest side of it, Barry. If they showed it on any of the news outlets, I did not see it. I do understand the university gave those groups the space that they wanted or requested, so they would be able to do that. I can't imagine that there were a lot of people there. I'm sure there's some, and good for them. They can do whatever they want, but I did not see any of that. I wonder that with Tuberville. I understand Tuberville was there. I didn't see him at the event, but I'm sure there's some people, maybe some of his former players, that are going, "Wow, man, I never knew you were this staunch of a Republican and felt that way politically." And I don't know if it's Saban's to that degree, but I would have to think he probably leans that way. I have no way of knowing. I just if he's going to take the time and want to be there with Trump, I got to think
Yeah.
he likes the guy a little bit. I don't think if he was even if he's middle ground, I don't think he would have taken the time to do that. And then also, Barry, he's not the head football coach anymore. So,
Whoa.
there again, should Kalen DeBoer have announced him? Probably not. Hasn't done enough to maybe warrant that opportunity to do that. Saban certainly has. But Saban didn't have to do that. And him doing it kind of indicates to me that, he might kind of like what Trump's doing. There again, just my opinion. Don't want to speak for Nick Saban. If Saban did not want to do it, I would have been available. I could have squeezed it into my schedule last night. Just saying.
Yeah, they might still be going on up there if that were the case.
I will say this, Barry. I watched a little of Saban's speech. He was using the cue cards a lot.
Yeah.
I kind of wondered, sometimes you can get lost on your cue cards. Yeah, I'd heard some of that before. I think he'd used elements of his talk before. But nonetheless, he was good. He got the crowd roared up and whatnot. But it was all good.
I read.
I will say this: Trump was very complimentary about the state of Alabama as a whole. Very complimentary.
Well, good. Like we've said before, John and I have, we're not rolling in it, but if we had the wherewithal, we could live in a lot of different places if we want to. I ain't going anywhere. You can nail my feet down in Alabama. I'm the same way, but
Mal Moore's from Dozier, Alabama. I knew it was something like that.
I should know. Goodness knows I've been a billion different places. Dozier. I've heard of it. Can't say I could drive to it right now. Anybody? Can anybody help me with Dozier? Anyway.
I think it's in the Wiregrass, maybe.
I think
somewhere.
it is. I'm ashamed. I should know. But I read, and again, I didn't see any of it live. I've seen clips of it. And it's interesting to me. I'm not all that political anymore, but they say at the very beginning when, the place is packed and everything, and they all come out. I think it was Stuart Bell, the president, Saban, and Trump, and they're all going out together, and Saban was stepped aside to let the president go, and Trump said, no, if one of many games as you have, you want to go first. To me, that's a faux pas. I don't care if I, had a cure for the mange or anything. I ain't going out before the president of the United States. Saban, did what Trump told him to do, and he went out first. I ain't going out first in front of the president. I'm letting the president go out, and then me. I don't want to have anything to look like I've upstaged the president.
If that's what he wants,
that was just a spur of the moment.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what he wants, I guess you're not going to sit there and argue with him. But yeah, I would have probably preferred that if I was in his shoes.
This is remarkably perceptive here. Remarkably perceptive. John kind of hinted that, hey, if Saban couldn't have been there to introduce him, I wouldn't have been. This is perceptive from Theotis. Problem is, John would have shown up 30 seconds before Trump was supposed to be introed. John's pulling up.
Yeah.
Over there on the fourth floor at Ten Whore parking deck, and he's trotting over. Hey, Padre, how you doing? Hey, Ringo, take some lessons, and showing up there. That's a very good point.
Yeah, Theotis, I might have gotten up there a little earlier. Maybe I probably would have, probably for Secret Service reasons. Heck, when he came to Atlanta for the national championship game, I had to get to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium earlier than I normally would. So I probably would have for that as well. Yeah. JJ over in Atlanta. I did not hear this, JJ, but JJ tells us Trump said Tuberville was the reason Nick was hired last night. Well, that's probably true. Tuberville had won, 6 in a row.
They were tired of it. Yeah.
Sure I like it. So I missed that one, JJ, but that's a good line. And there were some other good ones as well. You could tell they prepped Trump about some things to say and whatnot. Yeah. And he, of course, he mentioned Coach Bryant. You got to do that. Joe Namath, some of the other greats. So they certainly prepped him.
Was there anything, there's a piece in the Tuscaloosa News that said, everything that Trump said, at Tuscaloosa News, and maybe they just focused on what he said about Alabama, but it seemed like the whole thing was, or at least what the article said, let's bring him back, Saban back. No. He said Alabama's not only a great football school, but now one of the nation's best basketball schools. All this. Did he say anything about the terrific law school at Alabama or the work they're doing in the business school or how things are going?
How about the communication school? A little shout out to them.
Communications department. Yeah, anything like that. Or was it all about football and basketball? I wonder.
He knows how to work the crowd. That's
no doubt.
That's what the crowd wants to hear. So he's
good.
Well, Barry, how about this? This really touched me today. At 6:41 this morning, Ty chimes in with some NBA talk. See, I'm telling you, you people are picking up on it out there. Great. It's great.
You're an influencer. Yeah, I did watch that. I did watch the NBA last night when we finally got in to the hotel. And he is right. Jalen Brunson is the man. I watched the end of that game. We'll talk about it coming up. A little NBA talk. Big series coming up.
We can talk about it now if you want to.
No, we have to wait. I thought about that last night. That's one of the reasons why I was watching that game, to see if the Phantom could do it again.
Woo!
We'll tell you about that a little bit later on. Huge baseball series at Truist Park tonight.
Yeah.
Going to talk about that as well. We got a lot on the docket, as a matter of fact. Glad you're along with us.
After a day off, Barry, the Braves had the day off yesterday, correct?
Yeah, they did not play. Yeah.
Okay.
But they open up a big series at home against the Dodgers. We'll talk about that, lots more. John is at Stivers Ford Lincoln, Eastern Boulevard of the Troy Highway in Montgomery. I am in Mobile, Alabama, and we are underway Friday here on the show. That smoking piece of paper right there must be some of the deals. I mean, it's hot.
You've heard a lot about tariffs lately. A lot of things about tariffs. Beat the tariffs here at Stivers Ford Lincoln in Montgomery. Employee pricing, you pay what they pay across a full lineup of cars, trucks, and SUVs. And you can take advantage of it right here, right now. Incredible discounts at Stivers Ford here in Montgomery. You always know price sells cars. F-150s, every new remaining 2024 at 2.9% APR for 72 months. Ford F-150 Lightnings up to $15,000 off plus 0% APR. The Ford Edge, the Ford Escape, incredible deals there. Save up to 40% off the Ford Edge SE model. Ford Escape starting at just $21,990 and no payments for 90 days. Just a few of the many great deals going on. We're going to tell you about it all morning long. Beat the tariff pricing here at Stivers in Montgomery.
In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Known by avid golfers as one of the most beautiful and challenging stops on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, Cambrian Ridge in Greenville lies just 40 miles from Montgomery. It is well worth the ride for any golfer looking for 27 holes of jaw-dropping golf. The greens have been redesigned to accommodate the higher green speeds associated with their installation of the latest generation of Ultra Dwarf Bermuda grass. Cambrian Ridge offers a fully stocked pro shop with all the latest equipment and apparel. Great food and beverages in the clubhouse can be enjoyed both before and after your round. Get your group together and hit the trail. Go to rtjgolf.com/Cambrian Ridge for tee times and more information.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
You're not buying sticks, stems, and pine cones. You're buying premium long-diddle pine straw from River Region Straw. Kenny and his staff have access to the best pine straw in the River region, full of color that will last all season long. Kenny has locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and Auburn, and no order is too big or too small. from a few bales to an 18-wheeler trailer load. Pickup is available, or your order can be delivered. They can even spread your pine straw if you like. So call or text Kenny today, 669-5959. That's 669-5959 for all of your pine straw needs.
Okay, about 20 minutes past the hour here on this Friday. I'm live at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, Barry in Mobile with Troy baseball, big series against the Jags of South Alabama. You say maybe possible doubleheader in the forecast or in the future?
Possibly. They haven't made a decision. Definitely moving today's game up at 5 o'clock now. Tomorrow looks a little bit iffy. We'll either play early. The game is scheduled for, I think, 1 o'clock. We may move that early. And if you can't get that one in, then we'll play 2 games on Sunday, probably like really early, like 11 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
but
wow.
We shall see. We shall see.
Hey, John from Wetumpka, good shout out. Good morning to you today, John. Thank you for that. It should be a big weekend for John. You mentioned it, Barry, the Dodgers coming into Truist Park. The Braves finally getting a home series. Seems like they played on the road every series this year. That it's not the case. It just feels that way.
Yep, the Braves have played well lately. They got off to that terrible start.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wait, let me stop you right there. Now, I look at
You don't like those
this way.
facts? You don't like my facts?
So Barry goes with the Braves have played well lately. I go with the Braves just came back from playing the worst team in Major League Baseball. That's how I look at it.
They started 0-7, but they've won 7 of their last 10. Not just that series against the lowly Colorado Rockies. The Braves are now in 3rd place in the Eastern Division. 3rd place. They're ahead of the Marlins. They're ahead of the Nationals. They're moving up. Now, okay, it is true that the Dodgers have the best record in the National League right now. It's true that they're coming in, all right, on a 5-game winning streak. That's okay. All right. But they got to play in Atlanta where, goodness gracious, hopefully there will be more Braves fans than there will be Dodgers fans. Please tell me that.
Yeah, I mean, is that really? I mean, that kind of surprised me. You said that earlier in the week. I mean, I've heard that when the Cubs come to town, maybe the St. Louis Cardinals.
I just don't want to see any of them. I'm a Dodgers fan. I love the Dodgers. Love the Braves too. It is on FanDuel Sports Network South.
Whoa.
FanDuel Sports Network Southeast.
Let me write that down. FanDuel Sport. Wait,
you ain't going to be able to tune into Fox or something like that, or even MLB Network.
Defending World Series champions taking on a team that some people label America's team.
You know, an old National League Western Division rivalry from many years ago, whenever you only had 2 divisions, the East and the West.
Yeah. So who would, not to jump ahead, but back when it was the Giants, San Francisco, the LA Dodgers, the Braves, and who else was in that division?
It was the Astros. Back when the Astros were in the National League. Now the Astros are in the American League.
Man.
Now you got 3 Division 2 teams, all that kind of stuff, but it's still a big one starting tonight.
And, the interesting thing about that, Barry, the football team also played in the West against San Francisco and the LA Rams back in the day. The Saints were in that division in the NFC Western.
That was back when Atlanta was called Losersville, USA.
Yeah.
Largely because they had to play all of their division games, a 4 or 5 hour plane flight away.
Sure.
Unfair. Totally.
That's when they had the famous bumper sticker, "Go Falcons," and take the Braves with you.
Yeah. And don't forget, the Hawks were terrible too.
Yeah, they were pretty bad.
Yeah.
So I got to go to FanDuel to get to the
All right. It's FanDuel Sports Network South or FanDuel Sports Network Southeast.
All right. So Barry, I'm gonna throw you and the Braves fans a bone, because as I was having lunch with Colin earlier this week, they did promo the fact that the Braves-Dodger game, actually, half the country's getting that, half the country's getting another game. But Saturday night on the main Fox, they will be showing the Braves-Dodgers game to half the country.
Yes, that is true. That'll be at 6:15 at night. Pretty good matchup there between Spencer Schwellenbach for the Atlanta Braves against Roki Sasaki for the Dodgers. Now, just to let you know, starting pitcher tonight for the Dodgers is Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who's been really good, but
can you spell that for us?
Do you want me to? Really? Okay. Here we go. And today's pitch, that's tonight's pitcher. Tomorrow's pitcher for the Dodgers, again, is Roki Sasaki, who reminds me of that character in that great movie called My Favorite Year with Peter O'Toole, where the main characters, his stepfather, his name was Rookie Kalroka. So you got Yoshinobu Yamamoto tonight and Roki Sasaki tomorrow for the Dodgers. Good luck to the announcers on FanDuel Sports Southeast.
Yeah, if you can find it, FanDuel Sports Southeast. I'm just curious. I'll look maybe if I scan the game. Are there a lot of Asian fans that live in the United States that go to Dodger games?
Heck yeah. And it ain't because of Yoshinobu Yamamoto or Roki Sasaki. It's because of Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani is the big man. He's the best player in Major League Baseball. There are a ton of Asian fans, Japanese fans, that come to the Dodgers games. A ton. And there are a lot of Asian players now in the major leagues. There's a really good pitcher for the Cubs. You had Ichiro for many years. There's a lot now in Major League Baseball, and the Asian viewership has skyrocketed. It is a big thing. There's no question about that.
Because I know it's big, and they play baseball in Japan, obviously. And
Love
there's been some of our major league teams that have opened the season in Japan. So I just was curious. I'm going to be looking for that in the stands when I scan the Braves game. It's probably going to be tomorrow night because I'm not jumping around hitting this and that to get to find. I want to hit the remote, click, boom, there it is. They're making me jump through too many hoops to get to Major League Baseball. I would think that would lose some of their audience. Don't you want to make it as easy as possible for your fan base to be able to find you?
Literally, in this is what John's talking about. Click, click, right click, click. This is your thumb. This is what John's complaining, too much of a workout. They're making me jump through hoops. Do they lose viewers because it's so click, click, click?
Shouldn't we make it easier with advanced technology? We shouldn't make it. You shouldn't have to go through more steps. There again, I hit my remote, power on. Usually it's on ESPN or something like that. Yeah. And if not, I know what I get, 27. Boom. There it is.
Bear in mind, it was years ago. And again, John doesn't love change. John doesn't love it. Years ago, when cable TV became a thing, little Johnny was saying, "I don't like this, Dad. What is all this?" That was a whole lot better than the day when Johnny had to stand in front of the old man's TV and, "All right, move that antenna a little bit that way." "How's this, Dad?" All
Heck,
that
up
kind
on
of
the
stuff.
roof. What are you talking about? Yeah.
And then you went, and then when John got older and found himself away from home for the first time, John sees that cable grid, and you got CBS, ABC, NBC, PBS.
Cinemax.
John skips right over PBS. Yeah, whatever. Those are like among the first 8-9 channels on the cable grid. John's like, "Man, this is great." Then all of a sudden he sees Cinemax, 173. John's like, click, 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 click. He'll do that, especially on Friday nights. But this click, click, right click, guide, click, enter. Nah, he ain't for that.
So Barry, when cable first came, you had a cable box. Remember that?
I do.
And you had to turn your television on with the television remote. Then you had to get the cable box remote. So that really got me out of whack for a while.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I got to have two remotes? Wait a minute here. This is way too complicated. So then somebody figured out, well, let's have televisions that they call cable ready, which I guess the box was in the TV or they built it that way. And wherever they build these TVs, and you only had to have one remote. I said, okay, now we're working. Then they incorporated the jump back button, which was even better. I mean, you go from one channel to the other.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Then you could go dual box, or back then it was a little box in like the left-hand corner, then the main screen. So you kind of had this thing going on over here with the main screen. And then they of course have technically advanced even more, but the cable box I wasn't a big fan of. Wasn't a big fan of the cable box.
Do you do you utilize, I know you got a smart TV because you told me you did.
Yeah.
Well, John told me that one of his kids told him that he has a smart TV now. Are you technologically advanced enough to where you can talk into your remote and say whatever, like what is it, 1817 or whatever that thing is with Harrison Ford? Can you do that? I mean, because that's for you right there, where you can pick it up and say, find Caddyshack, and boom, it's right there. I mean, can you do that?
Barry, I need to get that. And the quick answer is no, because I've got a Roku TV and I've got a Roku remote that came with it. Right. So it doesn't have the voice option. I guess I could have gotten one, I guess.
Oh, yeah, you can, because we've got one. We've got Roku. Like I said, my wife is a master of that stuff.
But so I don't. But I kind of know where I'm going, because my television viewing is kind of limited to about
access to thousands of different programs, many different countries, many different types. John's got Fox, CBS, ESPN,
Fox Sports, FS1, Fox News, Fox Business, and then of course whatever channel Law and Order reruns are on. And the older the Law and Order, the better. I don't like the newer ones. I like the older Law and Orders and SVUs. So anytime that's on, I watch that. But I've got something, Barry, that I do. This is strange. I've been dealing with this for probably over a year, more than a year. One of my televisions, one of them is hardwired. My biggest one is hardwired. The other ones are, I guess, through Wi-Fi or something.
Right.
They work great. I've got this one television. I can be watching Netflix, Paramount Plus, Amazon, whatever. No problem at all. Everything's great.
Right.
If I'm watching YouTube TV, more times than not, I can be 30 minutes into watching something, check connection, reset connection. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I got to jump through all these hoops again to get this thing reconnected. It only happens on YouTube TV. I can't explain it. It doesn't happen on any of the other apps that I have or any of the other formats I go to. But if I'm watching YouTube TV on this one, and I know, is it too far away from the tower? Look, I've been through every step out there. I mean, I got so much power coming into that room where that TV is. I mean, you could shoot a rocket off. But for some reason, the YouTube loses the connection. Doesn't happen anywhere else. Strangest thing I've ever encountered.
I don't have an answer for that.
It's amazing.
It is something's wrong there.
I mean, I've talked to Haji in India for over an hour to try to get it figured out. He can't figure it out either.
Well, what we can tell you to save you a few steps is just go straight to Stivers Ford Lincoln. We've seen it. John and I, like Michael Jackson, we know about human nature. You're thinking, what do those guys know? I'm sure I know more than those guys do. I'm going to go to fly-by-night place I saw over on the bypass. They look like they might have a car for me. So, and we know it. We get it. Go on, knock yourself out. You'll be back. Save yourself a couple of steps. If your YouTube TV doesn't work and you got to go back, I know it's irritating. Make it easier in other aspects of your life. Make up for it by just going straight to Stivers Ford Lincoln and making your deal on a vehicle that's already right there on the lot.
It is. It is. I can promise you, your vehicle is here on the lot. But Barry, here's even another great advantage.
All right.
If you need service for your vehicle, you don't have to come here. They will come to you with Stivers Mobile Service. You can get service at home or work anywhere in the River Region area. They will come to you. Stivers Mobile Service. Check it out. I know people are sometimes having their vehicle serviced or repaired can be an inconvenience. So let them come to you, to your work, your home, and they'll service your vehicle there. We're Stivers Mobile Service. I see their trucks all over town.
I do too.
Their vans going to businesses and homes, servicing vehicles. Take advantage of that service as well here at Stivers, where Price sells cars.
Lots more still to come. Love your reaction on the chat line to the appearance last night in Tuscaloosa of the President of the United States. And a lot of other stuff we'll get to as well. Coming up, Phantom's Daily Dog in the next hour. It is Derby weekend.
It is.
In the Kentucky Derby. We'll talk about that as well. John is at Stivers Ford Lincoln in Montgomery. I'm in Mobile, Alabama. Troy baseball opens up a 3-game series, a big one against South Alabama tonight beginning at 5 o'clock. My buddy Matt Hardigan has checked in, loves the Trojans. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382, or find them on the web at 834hands.com.
All right, man, grab a Budweiser and take a knee. It is the best time of the year. It's baseball season. That means sunshine. It means behind-the-back peanut tosses. And it means sharing some cold, frosty Budweisers with your boys. Because there's nothing more American than watching America's game with America's beer. So let me ask you something. Are you ready to bring your A game? Are you ready to cheer every frozen rope down the line and amazing catch at the warning track? Are you ready for pitchers' duels and slugfests? Tell me, are you ready for the thrill of an incredible walk-off victory? I can't hear you. Are you ready for Budweiser and baseball? Then get on your feet, raise an ice-cold Bud, and let's make this season larger than life. Great times are waiting. Grab some Bud!
Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
The Destin Connection Seafood Market offers the freshest seafood direct from the Gulf of Mexico with deliveries daily. Snapper, grouper, pompano, flounder, copia, along with medium, large, and jumbo shrimp, hand-picked crab meat, and chucked oysters. They can even cook your order for easy, quick pickup. The Destin Connection can make a po' boy with any of their seafood items that folks in New Orleans rave about. Go by and see them at 3750 Norman Bridge Road or call 288-4272 for pickup orders.
Okay, about 20 minutes to the top of the hour here, Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. You can also check us out at yellowhammernews.com. That's right. You can check out the video content. There's always a write-up about the show each and every afternoon, yellowhammernews.com. We're also on Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, Spotify, a lot of places to check us out. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You'll never miss any of our content. Anything that drops, you'll know about it. And we greatly appreciate the subscription. Doesn't cost anything. Somebody said, does it cost anything to subscribe?
No.
Gives you the information and lets you know when new content has dropped.
There you go. There you go. We again, I'm in a hotel room somewhere in Mobile where it's a nice day out today.
Yeah.
But it's going to be rainy a little bit later on in the week. Got in last night after a long day, and I've got a room to myself this time. So I fired up the television to the NBA playoffs. They had the Knicks
It's a good
and
one.
the Pistons in Detroit. That place was rocking in Detroit because whenever I started watching it in the fourth quarter, about 5 minutes to go, Detroit was up 5. The Knicks weren't doing anything. Place was absolutely going nuts. And as soon as I turned it on, Jalen Brunson went crazy for the Knicks. He's the NBA Clutch Player of the Year. He had 40 points in the game. 8 of them came in the final 2 minutes and 23 seconds. Hit a three-pointer with 5 seconds left. Knicks win 116-113. Detroit went from the place going crazy, up 5, 2.5 minutes to go, to season over. They're done. Knicks move on.
Mm-hmm.
And the networks are pretty dang happy about that because what you've got in the Eastern Conference semifinals, both of the semifinals are set in the East. None of the semifinals are set in the West. In the East, you've got Cavaliers versus Pacers, and you've got Celtics Knicks.
They like
are
that.
Fired up about that. Yeah, that'll begin on Monday in Boston. First 2 games in Boston. So, yeah, we're getting to that point in the playoffs where
Bear, we might have one of the teams in the West decided tonight. More on that later.
Yes. Yeah, coming up. So they've I've always known this, but I don't think it's ever been more apparent. But the playoffs, they do have that different feel. If this was Knicks Detroit in November, it'd be exciting.
As you watch the games, I've noticed this as well. And maybe I don't notice it as much in regular season. I did notice it when I've been to some regular season games. Just what's going on besides what's happening on the floor.
Yeah. And that's a lot of it. Yeah.
There's no doubt. I mean, and if you watch these games, you can hear it. I wouldn't say it's music, but it's just sound effects that are going on in the arena. They will play it while the game's going on. I mean, as they inbound the ball, the sound effects, I don't think it's music. It's not a song. It's just these sound effects that you hear to kind of get, people revved up, I guess.
Yeah, right.
But as they're dribbling the ball down the floor, it's still playing. And then once, I guess, the first pass is made, they'll turn it off. But there's always music. There's always something kind of flashing. If there's a timeout, there's always something going on. There is never any downtime in an NBA game.
They don't want that. They don't want that. Yeah, they don't want quiet. They don't want, for lack of a better phrase, they don't want just basketball.
No.
Not
at all.
The amount of time that is spent with the only sensory input you get is basketball. They don't want that. They want other stuff going. Even when the basketball's being played, obviously you got the fans going crazy in the stands. I love more than anybody else, more than any other sport, the NBA mascots. Those guys are the best. Love those guys and ladies and all that kind of stuff. Tonight.
Wait a minute. So, but Barry, I think that also you could say the same thing about minor league baseball. There's a lot of that going on. A lot of stuff to get you, where you don't go, well, this is kind of dull and boring and nothing's happening. There's always something going on to make it probably more in the NBA than I've noticed in minor league baseball.
Right.
But there's always something going on. And somebody asked me something about minor league baseball, and I thought, well, I don't know, but I'll ask Barry the next time it comes up, and I just remembered it.
Yeah.
With NILs and transfers and money and this, that, and the other, could college baseball affect minor league baseball? I know a lot of colleges, particularly in the Big Ten and the SEC and the ACC, have put a lot of money and resources into college baseball, into their facilities,
Right.
making it more fan friendly. Could that hurt minor league baseball, that part of it, as well as, if I play baseball in college, I might make more money than I do playing minor league baseball, and I'm not on a bus staying with four other guys in the same room in a Motel 6 in Biloxi.
Yeah, there is that lifestyle aspect of it. But for instance, the players who play for the Biscuits, they're not employed by the Biscuits. They're employed by the Tampa Bay Rays. They got contracts with the Major League club. Major Leagues now basically run minor league baseball. So the money's not coming from the Biscuits or, the crowds at the Biscuits. The better they are, the more money they make or anything like that. So the really good college players, they're going to go pro when they get a chance because, the money comes from the major league team. So it's usually a lot of money if they're very good. But also you want to get in the system. You want to get going. You very rarely see senior baseball players drafted because by the time they're seniors, they're 22 and 23 years old. You give them a couple of years in the minors and they're 25 and 26, as opposed to drafting an 18-year-old kid and getting him in your system and maybe having him ready by the time they're 20. So yeah, for some of the guys that are, got a chance to get drafted their senior year, they are probably hanging around in college because you can make more money. And the older you get, the less likely. Like Chad Baker-Mazara, if he played baseball, would not have a prayer of getting drafted because the guy's 26 years old. How many years are you going to have left
I guess if
out
you're 18 or 19, you're a little bit more willing to stay in a Super 8 with four other guys and travel to Biloxi and
Fayetteville, North Carolina. I can tell you all the places I went to when I was in minor league baseball.
So I can see that.
You
gotta love it. You gotta love that.
Well, and that's what Lasorda said one time. He said, you don't want minor league players comfortable. You don't want guys in there saying, man, isn't this great? Man, I could stay in Grand Rapids for years. This would be they don't want you to be happy there. They want you to want to move up. So that's
Taco
also
Bell
part of it.
again? Oh, man, I can't eat it for the fourth night in a row. Range Pros chimed in with a couple of selections today. Also, he's got some golf action for our viewers and listeners. I'm going to not talk about his NBA pick because we might talk about that a little bit later in the program. He's got some golf action today, I see.
Yeah, Scheffler over Spieth. Scheffler, they're playing. It's some sort of got some initials to it or something like that. Some sort of a golf tournament. It's the RJ or the EJT
RBC,
or something like that. Yeah, the CJ Cup. The CJ Cup is going on. Golf Channel later on. It'll be CBS, but Scheffler's got the lead in that one through one round. A little golf action today from the Range Pro. Dennis Mitchell also, Barry. Dennis, is Yacht Rock Radio back? I haven't heard the promos. It usually comes on Memorial Day through Labor Day. Dennis says he says Yacht Rock Radio rules. I'm with you. I've been telling Barry about Yacht Rock Radio on Sirius, but I didn't know it was back on yet. Tell me more, Dennis. Give us some more info. Scotty Scheffler, 10 under 61 at the CJ Cup yesterday. One stroke off the course record to take the early lead. It's his hometown event. Evidently, the CJ Cup is played outside of Dallas.
It's the Byron Nelson Classic. Remember the old Byron Nelson
remember that
Classic?
one. See,
That's
what it should be.
Yes, the Byron Nelson Classic.
Yeah,
they play it outside of Dallas there every year.
Yeah.
Dennis, you're on mark today because this is on our list. Did Dennis see our list today? Dennis, we are going to tell you about some surprise teams in the SEC for 2025. We kind of hinted at that yesterday. So probably at the top of the next hour, we're going to get into that. Not only that, Dennis, but also quarterbacks in the league for 2025. So thank you for promoting that for us, because that is on the list today. As a matter of fact, I think, Dennis, if you look at Gurn Jr. sends this out, or some of our other associates, but we send out a lineup about what's going to be on the program. We maybe not follow the times exactly, but that was on the lineup that was sent out yesterday about what's going to be on the show today. So maybe you saw that. We are a little, we don't really follow the times. It's just they're there. If we get to it, we will.
When he says we, he means him, because I'm always saying, but John, hang on. Yeah, we got to, we're running past the top of that.
It's free flowing. It's free flowing, I guess is what they call it.
That's exactly right. Johnny is free flowing at Stivers Ford Lincoln in Montgomery. I'm in Mobile in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Hey, Marianne is joining me from Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry in Pepper Tree on Vaughn Road. And Marianne, the month of May is here. So many great things going on. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that it's May already. So many exciting things. We've got Mother's Day, graduations, weddings, showers, you name it. In May, we've got it. It's a jam-packed holiday-filled month, and we are ready to go to help you at Marguerite's, because it is Earring Fest coupled with the rest of that. So what better way to help celebrate the lady in your life or the person in your life than beautiful earrings? Because, earrings, you don't have to worry about what size. They all fit.
They do all fit. You're right about that. With Mother's Day fast approaching, Earring Fest would be a great way to show Mom how much you appreciate her and love her, and so many different earring styles to choose from. Graduation gifts for the high school and college graduate as well. May seems to be a month that people like to pop the question as well. So you got that going on. And we can't forget, Marianne, Birthstone Emerald. I think I'm right on that for May.
Great job. Yes. I almost forgot. How dare I? Yes. Well played there, sir. It is emerald. So beautiful gemstone, lots of beautiful hues of green. We've got them in store at Marguerite's. Earrings, necklaces, rings, you've got it. So for all the May babies out there, you've got a great birthstone. Make sure that the person you love knows that you love those beautiful green emeralds.
Well, we know Marguerite's is open 7 days a week. Tell us where you're located and your hours of operation.
Sure. We're at 8163 Vaughn Road in the Pepper Tree Shopping Center, 7 days a week, 10 to 5:30 Monday through Friday, 10 to 5 on Saturday, and noon to 5 on Sunday.
May is going to be fantastic at Marguerite's. Make sure you go by and see them. Thank you so much, Marianne.
Thanks.
All righty, welcome back in. About 7 minutes or so until the top of the hour here today. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy in association with our friends at Yellowhammer News. Check it out, yellowhammernews.com.
All right, we've been getting a lot of things. I apologize to all my friends in Crenshaw County. I had heard of Dozier. Crenshaw County is right next door to Pike County.
I think it's south of Montgomery County, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, yeah. South of Montgomery. I think it's west of Pike. That's where Dozier is. I had never been to Dozier. I've been all over Crenshaw County, but I did not know that one. But I had heard of it. We're getting a ton of stuff about Ozark. My buddy Les Peralt checked in earlier and said that one graduate at Alabama who's behind, very pretty young lady right behind Saban and right behind Trump on the roster with her gown on. She's a Carroll graduate. She's from Ozark. So we're starting to hear Mal Moore's not from Ozark. He's from Dozier. Mary Harmon Bryant's from Ozark. And everybody's talking about it. Mal says a VIP from Ozark, Congressman Stegall of the Glass-Steagall Act. And and also from Ozark, Gurn Sr., right?
Correct. Barry, I can tell
VIP.
Yeah. How about this little nugget of knowledge? His address in Ozark, 8 Squirrel Drive. I don't know why I remember that. He lived on it was Squirrel. How many?
Is the house number 8 Or
Yes.
is there 8 squirrels? Is it like 8 Squirrel Drive?
The address was just the number 8 Squirrel Drive. I don't know why I remember that.
Drive. Yeah.
Ozark, Alabama.
He once told me where Uncle Gurn's law office was in Ozark, and I went by there. Yeah. Very nice.
I played in
very
a
nice.
golf tournament at the Ozark Country Club with Gurn. 9-hole track, 2 sets of tees. They had to double loop it. Played in a golf tournament down there with him one year.
That's the way it is at the Troy.
You know, small towns that have golf tournaments like that, I've been amazed. You go to any small town in the South,
Yeah.
they have like a little golf weekend Calcutta deal. These guys throw down some cash in the Calcutta. I mean, I'm thinking, man, whoo, that pot's pretty dadgum big. I don't know, maybe not a lot to do in small towns. So when the event like that rolls in, they just blow it out. But I remember being down in Ozark going, man, these guys like to bet some money on the golf course. That's probably where I came up with you want to play for fun? Funsies?
Wait a minute.
No. Mm-mm.
Just for the fellowship? Just for the friendly camaraderie and the friendly chatter?
No.
18 holes?
No, come on.
No.
With him?
No.
I got to spend 4 hours with that guy? No way. Not happening.
Unless I can get into his pocket, I'm not interested.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So, Barry, you taking the bait from Mal here? He's got the bait in the water.
Yeah, I'm surprised at Mal because I've heard this bait about other things. Barry, you know as well as I do, the Dodgers don't consider the Atlanta Braves a rival. If a franchise has only won as many World Series championships as the Marlins, they are a rival for the Dodgers, right, John? Yeah.
You know, Mal, you're right.
Mal, the Dodger fan.
But Mal, I don't think you're going to like the comparison I have to that. You know, people like to say certain schools in college are rivals, but with your explanation about the Braves and the Dodgers, I got one school in college that's the Dodgers, and I got this other school over here that thinks they're the Dodgers, but they're really not. I'll let you figure out what 2 schools I'm talking about.
Well, John Dent has checked in with a question on the chat line. JL, did you go to the graduation ceremonies last night in T-Town and meet President Trump and Coach Saban? Not only but John has been to many graduations at the University of Alabama. He's paid for a couple of them. So, graduations are not a new thing for John in Tuscaloosa, so it's not the novelty of it. And if you don't have somebody graduating, if you're not graduating or you're not the parent or the auntie of somebody who's got, and believe me, those are limited, and you're not a friend of the president or something like that, you ain't getting in that thing.
No, if I could have gotten in and just seen Saban talk and Trump talk and then leave, I probably maybe would have been interested in doing that.
If somebody would have driven him up there, got a parking pass, and you know.
And I saw George Bush, 43, the son who was president.
Yeah, 43.
He spoke here in Montgomery at an AUM, 20 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. And I went and saw him speak. And it was good. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I did it. One of those things. But probably would not have gone up to see that, John. I did see a lot of it on television last night. But nah, I don't think that would have interested me on that. But hey, it was, there again, as I said earlier, the president was very complimentary about the state of Alabama. Of course, the state of Alabama has been very good to him. And he was very complimentary about all of the great things that our state has to offer. He did not mention on a sports wagering. If he'd have thrown that out there, he'd have hit a home run with that one. But the president was not able to ease that into his speech last night. Something about what of about 8 states that doesn't have it.
There's an opportunity missed.
It was.
Opportunity missed
Okay, I see
Right
now.
there.
Maybe I see Mal. I think maybe is taking my bait here. Let's see. What is Mal coming back?
Mel
with?
says, John, if that school isn't a rival, why do people on this show talk about the other school's basketball? When they lose to that school, they aren't basketball fans. This was one of the most insincere things that John has ever said, because I have to believe in my heart and soul that he doesn't believe that. Years ago, whenever I postulated that it was my opinion that Auburn University was the University of Alabama's biggest rival, and John and some of the intelligentsia out there, well, no. Let me explain it to you, Barry. Auburn is not Alabama's biggest rival. Tennessee is Alabama's biggest rival. And I'm like, come on. Nobody believes it. See, Barry, and this is when John realized he had to throw me a little crumb. See, Barry, here's what it is. Tennessee is Alabama's biggest rival, but Auburn is Alabama's biggest game. And I thought, I wish you'd rather not even have said that. Yeah, because that insults my intelligence to think that I would actually believe that. See, there's a difference. You can have a great rival, but not have it be your big game. See, if we were in Czechoslovakia, it's like, all this kind of, if we were in Italy, So I don't get caught up in that anymore because, it makes people uncomfortable. I don't like make people uncomfortable. All of this talking down to Auburn and Auburn fans and Auburn athletics by not necessarily John, because he is right down the middle, but from so many people out there, the Bob from Pike Roads, the Danny's from Margaritavilles and stuff. Whatever gets you through the night, all that talking down really is based on the football game. Auburn, John has said before, and John has been a lighthouse, a beacon for the way you really ought to be considering this rivalry, in that, see, Auburn's a good school. John has said that before.
Sure.
It's a good school, got good academics. They got professors and they give grades and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But there's really no comparison between the, all that type of thing. So, yeah, we have addressed this particular phenomenon a lot about those schools, Mal.
Mal addressed this from a baseball standpoint, Braves, Dodgers.
Right.
If he thinks I'm talking about Auburn and Alabama, okay, all right, well, I'll play that game. You talk about multiple sports because obviously they offer a lot: football, basketball, baseball, whatever. But let's just focus solely on football.
All right.
When I made that statement 30 years ago, I actually made it for prior to that, but when I first made it to you about 30 years ago, I was basing it on records in the SEC, total number of conference championships, total number of national championships, national championship appearances, New Year's Day bowl game appearances, which of course was about 4 New Year's Day bowl games at that point. And in all those very important, meaningful statistics, Alabama was at 1, Tennessee was at 2. So I'm thinking, you don't want these guys lapping you, overtaking you in all of these very prestigious, meaningful polls and rankings. So that's where I based my opinion on who is Alabama's biggest rival. Now, in saying that Auburn's Alabama's biggest game, I think there's some wiggle room there, but people certainly talk a lot about it. And there's a lot of, stuff leading up to the game the week prior that news outlets put on to make a little extra cash promoting that event and whatnot. But in terms of, meaning more, Coach Bryan always said, if you can get by the third Saturday in October, you're probably in pretty good shape to play for a championship.
He's right. That is right. But he also said something about,
Cal
what was
College.
it? Nothing beats beating that little Cow College down
Well,
there.
I can certainly see the satisfaction
College?
there. Yeah, I mean,
Cow
it's kind of
College?
satisfying. Wrap up the end. Well, they are an agricultural school. I mean, I don't know if I'd take that. I don't know if I'd be offended by that.
Cow College. Agricultural school, Cow College. John is saying this is the same thing.
To win that game, certainly. I will not say that it's not. Very satisfying. I think there's a group of Alabama fans that kind of like, I don't know, to put Auburn in their place at the end of the year, if you will. I don't really subscribe to that. You know, I think it's a little overboard. But yeah, that's where, you know, I'm laying down the facts, I'm laying down the stats, laying down the score, if you will. You know, I don't ever remember a field goal kicker giving the opposing team the double six guns. They don't light up cigars after the Iron Bowl.
But then again, I get what you're saying about, you know, accomplishments and all that. Tennessee has done really, really well and all that, which makes me wonder, why do Alabama fans care so much about Auburn then? If all it is
well, it's a good question.
Yeah,
that's a good question.
Why do they?
Yeah.
Why, you know,
Barry, when you've tasted so much success, you got to have something to get you through. You know, give us something to amuse ourselves. How can we make it through these long, hot summer days?
So you mean when Bob Pike Road over and over and over again talks about disaster on the pasture?
Well, that's Bob from Pike Road, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, all the time about the Aubs having won this and all that kind of stuff. Gigging the Aubs, as Chris the Bammer says. It's all just to kind of
get you through the night.
You
know, so yes. You know, I know you have pointed out that, you know, how come Tatter Insider message board has so much on it about Auburn?
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
You know, if some of my friends texted me, hey, check this out. Look what these Aubs are up to. Yes, I've gotten some of those from time to time. Yeah, I have. But that's just kind of what gets you through. As I've said before, have I been in a car traveling back from an Alabama game, listening to Auburn on the radio on Highway 82, and the people in the back go, "Ooh, turn this up! This is going to be great."
Oh, y'all be quiet! Y'all be quiet! Y'all be quiet! Stan's saying something about the referees. Hang on. Does happen. I get that.
So you know, but maybe we're splitting hairs here.
That's what I thought when John was talking about. See, this is the biggest game. That's the biggest rival. And I'm thinking, take that somewhere else.
You know, and I would say in current, and there again, we're talking about the whole history of these rivalries in these matchups. But, you know, I think there's a lot of, it's very valid when I hear people say, well, maybe Alabama and LSU are the biggest rivalry. Over the last 15 years, probably so. Those games have been very important in determining a national champion. So I get that. Alabama, Georgia. I don't get that feeling because Alabama and Georgia just don't play that often in the regular season, which I think's terrible. But Alabama and Georgia have never been a rival. I mean, that's, you know, no big deal. I remember when I was in school in the 80s, Shula took them over there and hit Al Bell at the end of the game, and they won it. And I'm thinking, when's the next time they played Georgia? It was like 10 years later. I think Eric Zier came to Tuscaloosa.
Oh, nice get.
Yeah. You know, and
Nicely
I think Jay Barker led Alabama to a victory in a night game, or maybe it was John Parker Wilson. I can't even remember.
Let's define those terms then in terms of rivalry. A lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't realize the Alabama-LSU rivalry ain't much of a rivalry. Alabama is 30 games over 500 against LSU. Alabama's won 57 times. LSU's won 27 times. The Iron Bowl, Alabama leads that one by anybody?
10 games, maybe?
14. Well, they've won 5 in a row. It was down to 9 at one point, but they've won the last 5. So it's a 14-point advantage for 14-game advantage for Alabama over Auburn. It is a 30-game advantage. But here's John's point about Georgia. Alabama's won 18 more than Georgia has.
Wow.
In that series, 44-26, and Alabama's won the last two. And Bob from Pyboro can tell you how many they've won, like 6 of the last 7 or 7 of the last 8 or something like that. It's not a rivalry that they play a whole lot. Mostly lately, it's been in the postseason. So in Tennessee, you look at Alabama, Tennessee. I feel like Ralph Michaels here.
Yeah.
19 games better. So the Auburn-Alabama rivalry is more competitive.
A lot
than
of that
any
had
of
to
those
do
other rivalries.
with what happened over the last 17 years. I mean, what Alabama went on a 16-game winning streak? That was unheralded. That had never happened before.
1, 2,
and there were
3,
people
4,
I heard.
And then Tennessee was on like what a 10 or an 11.
Well,
or something like that.
there were. It was
1,
always
2,
a streak.
3.
Alabama had won 9 in a row in the Bryant era. Then I think Tennessee won 4 in a row, and then maybe Alabama won 4 in a row, and then maybe Tennessee won. I don't know if they won 9 in a row.
Right.
So it's been kind of a streaky thing. But under Saban, he had never lost to Tennessee until maybe.
He lost to Tennessee in 2022, that 52-49 game.
Yeah.
And that was it, John. That's it. They lost last year, but that was DeBoer.
Yeah. So it's kind of fun to kind of talk about. But, there again, you can give me all these numbers about, who's had the most victories. I'm basing it on conference championships, national titles, national title appearances, New Year's Day bowl appearances, which was very important back when I made that statement. But, I still don't have any. I think this is the easiest way to wrap this up.
All right.
I know a lot of people, and I'm certainly one of them, that have married into an Auburn family and vice versa. I know a lot of people that have married into Alabama families, married into Auburn families, have great marriages, have several children, live a happy life. I do not know one person that has married a Tennessee family and vice versa.
He said that many years ago, and I'm like, surely you can think of any. This is off the air. And John's like, no. And so I asked a couple of people, some of John's friends, that are friends of mine too, John, I haven't run into anybody else who does either. It ain't just you. I mean, I have never seen anybody that's a Tennessee fan married to an Alabama fan. I don't know of anybody who knows of one.
No,
anybody?
I don't either. And I'm thinking maybe
that
up
is
in,
true.
Florence and Tuscumbia and Huntsville and Scottsboro up in North Alabama. Maybe there's some examples of that happening. I don't know of any. I know a lot of people that have a mixed marriage, so to speak, with Auburn and Alabama.
Yeah.
I better believe me, I'm in one of them. And when the Iron Bowl comes up, if we're all together, we're not watching the game together. I'll tell you that. But we'll come back when the game's over. I think I've told this story before. My wife's family's pretty big. They're kind of split, cousins and whatnot, Auburn and Alabama.
Right.
When we're together for Thanksgiving, when the game comes on Saturday, if we're all together, the Alabama group goes to one house, the Auburn group goes to the other house, and when the game's over, the losing team has to walk to the winning team's house and have a little cocktail party, if you will.
And I'm sure that it's all, fun-spirited and everything afterwards, but man, that walk over there has got to be all right, everybody. All right, let's take a deep breath. Let's give us a moment here.
I was not a part of that at the comeback game. I was actually at the game in Tuscaloosa, but I understand that was an interesting walk for that game. The Kick Six game, I was at that game. That was an interesting walk.
They ran. Chris Davis ran right by John. John's on the sidelines going, yep. So
So yeah, if somebody has a picture of an Alabama and Tennessee fan that are married, I'd like to see it. And happily married. I'd like to see that too.
Well, how do you define that? Happily married, except for that third Saturday in October, maybe something like that.
Could be a
15
little
minutes
tough.
into our second hour, still got a little bit more. Dennis Mitchell wanted to know our surprise teams in the SEC. Wait on that just a little bit yesterday. We'll dive in. Coming up, Phantom's Daily Dog. It's on the schedule again. Yep, it has reared its head once more. We'll talk about that next. John Longshore is at Stivers Ford Lincoln on the Eastern Boulevard of the Troy Highway in Montgomery. I'm Barry McKnight in Mobile. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore in McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Ford announces employee pricing on every new 24 and most new 25 Fords, and only at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, up to $5,000 below employee pricing, plus no payments for 90 days. From America, for America, at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, home of America's best-selling truck for nearly 50 years in a row, the F-150, with hundreds to choose from. The Ford Escape, the Ford Edge, and the Ford Bronco, all priced at thousands below invoice. And pack up the crew in a Ford Expedition or a Ford Explorer for the beach, the lake, or the big game. It's all at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where price sells cars.
Introducing Budweiser Zero. 0% alcohol, 0 grams of sugar. Full Budweiser flavor. A refreshing alcohol-free brew that tastes like the real thing. Budweiser Zero. 0 alcohol, 0 compromise.
Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, schedule an appointment with our clinic and take advantage of our physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solutions service. Experience elevated physical therapy today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239-9316. That's 239-9316.
Okay, back here live at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where price sells cars. I'm here in the Lincoln Luxury for Less part of the showroom, and Lincoln Nautilus right here. Enjoy the incredible Lincoln lineup of vehicles. Lincoln Luxury for Less here at Stivers. Also bear the Ford Maverick, a new entry-level pickup truck as low as $23,990. No payments for 90 days. Mustangs as low as $29,990. And, of course, I know you're asking about the Ford Explorer. It started the SUV craze back in the early 80s. You can get an all-wheel drive with leather as low as $39,990, and Expeditions up to $15,000 off to load everybody up to the beach, the lake, wherever you may be going. All right, so during the break, Barry, I was sent a picture. You asked about some of the people standing behind the president last night. I'm going to show you a picture of this group of people. See the tall young man on the back row? He's taller than anybody else.
Back middle, yeah.
Yep, back middle right there. That's my nephew.
What?
Yep. I didn't see him last night, but the picture was just sent to me. I went, wow. Oh, wow. Look how he got very, very close there to the president last night. So I can't wait to see him and ask him about that experience. I'm sure that was great. Obviously, Barry, looking at all of the ribbons, they call them, I think that's what they call them, the rope things that you wear around your neck.
Wait a minute. What did you call that whenever you had yours?
What are those things called? Because I didn't have any of those.
John had the robe, and he had his fingers crossed saying, "I just get this over with before they change their minds." Yeah,
exactly. He's got a lot. What are they called? Ropes? What do they call those things? My daughters used to talk about.
I don't know.
He's got a bunch of them around his neck.
I've been to a million graduations. I've had to announce a lot of names at graduations. but I don't know. Maybe that's for graduating cum laude or something like that. Believe me, that was not a consideration for me. There was, from what I
Phantom's
understand.
Daily Dog, is that what you were getting
Well, yeah,
to?
okay, yeah, we can
what?
bring that up instead of that.
Okay.
Yeah, and bring that up.
Oh, I didn't want to
Since
jump
it's
the
on
route on you.
since it's on the list today.
Okay.
Yeah, we do have a list.
Right.
Yep, 8:20, Phantom's Daily Dog. Yes, the Phantom has been on a roll. The NBA has been really, really dominated by the Phantom so far. In the last week, the entire week, he's been en fuego with the NBA. Last night was an example. As I mentioned, Knicks and Pistons. Last night, terrific game. Pistons were leading late by
Correct.
5 whenever I started watching it with about 3.5, 4 minutes to go. Leading by 5 in Detroit. Pistons were down 3-2. And I remembered what the Phantom pick was. The Phantom pick was on that game. Am I right?
No, actually, we had the Rocket Golden State game. Excuse no, I'm sorry.
No.
That's tonight. I'm sorry. We had the Nuggets and the Clippers.
Oh, the Nuggets and the Clippers.
I'm sorry. Nuggets,
Knicks.
Clippers.
Anyway, the Knicks ended up beating the Pistons. The other game, which was played earlier, I watched a little bit of that. You know, the Knicks Pistons game, I think, ran into the Nuggets Clippers game, and they joined that one in progress. Watched a little bit of that. Did not see the ending or the final until this morning, where the Clippers needed the game to tie the series in the Western first round. And they win it.
Yeah.
111-105. Again, that is called a daily dog for a reason. The Clippers, I'm sorry, the Nuggets were plus 6.5. Was that the number?
We had 7, but I know
plus
there were
7.
some that had 6.5 too. Yep, there were a lot of
Plus,
6.5s out there. You got to get the best value, folks. We preach that a lot.
So the Phantom, the Phantom said, "All right, Denver plus the 7. Look, I'm not saying that Denver's going to win the game, but they're going to get in under the 7. Final score: Clippers 111, Denver 105. That is 6.
Wow, look at that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or as Tuberville said, getting off the bus, 6.
Oh, I thought that was a cigar off the bus. Oh, it was another game. Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was Damon Duval with the cigar.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, yeah, Barry, right.
In the entire history of mathematics, 6 is not 7.
No, it isn't. But 7 will cover the spread.
Yep.
6.5 would cover the spread. Even if you had 6.5, you'd cover. We had the Nuggets plus 7. They lose by 6. We cover the game. Barry, if you're keeping score, that is the 5th straight cover. 5 covers in a row. It started last Friday.
Last week, yeah.
We have covered every game this week. Look, just saying, we're not tooting our horn. We're not raising the roof because, it's what we're supposed to be doing. It's like Chris Rock said, you're supposed to be a good father.
That's right.
So, I'm supposed to have winners. So
that's what he talks about, your mama always gives your daddy the big piece of chicken, because you never have the kids say, man, Dad, thanks for all this light.
That's right.
Thanks for knocking out that rent. Nobody ever says that, but they says, tell your mama thank you for the chicken, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
He's supposed to be a good
father. You're supposed to pay the bills. You're supposed to raise them and all.
That's right. That's exactly right. So we're supposed to win.
That's exactly right.
So even though we've had 5 winners in a row, just to let you know, we're going with 6 in a row tonight.
Here's my concern now, because the playoffs in the NBA, which have been really good to the Phantom lately,
Yep,
is starting to thin out a little bit. We're starting to get rid of some of the wheat from the chaff here, the men from the boys. So it's getting a little bit more slim pickings for the fans.
You're right. And, we might have to delve into Major League Baseball or
UFL,
indoor soccer or whomever. But tonight, Barry, we're going to a game out in California. Golden State hosting the Houston Rockets. The Warriors are up 3-2 in this
Playing
series.
At home. Yep. Rockets are 2nd seed. The Warriors are a 7 seed. But they've got plenty of playoff experience. So it is a bit of an upset that the Warriors are leading that series, but they are, and they're playing at home.
They are playing at home. 8 o'clock tonight on ESPN. The Rockets are a 5.5-point underdog at Golden State tonight. That
5.5 is what I've got. Yes.
Yeah, that kind of piques the interest in a game at 8 o'clock tonight. We are going to take the Houston Rockets plus the 5.5 at Golden State. This is an elimination game for the Rockets.
If they don't win it, season's over.
Season is over. So it's a must win for them. And I get it. I'm sure a lot of people think that way as well. And maybe they won't win, but they're not getting beat by more than 5.5. And Barry, I hate it for the Rockets if they don't win tonight and they have to pack the balls up and, watch the uniforms. But if they only lose by 5, I'm okay with that. I'm going to be pleased with that. Very happy. If they lose by more than that, I'm not going to be very happy.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, if they lose tonight, I hope they get beat by 40.
If they're not going to cover. Yeah.
And people are out there going, well, that's pretty selfish of you, Phantom.
Well, if I'm not happy, why should the Rockets be happy?
Yeah. That's what I say. I totally agree. So,
all right.
Anyway, there you have it. Somebody just sent me something. It's hilarious. Anyway,
I was wondering that
we're going for 6 in a row.
The reason why I was bringing that up is, it is a slim card. That's not just the game he's picking. That's the only game on the NBA card tonight. That's it. But tonight is or this weekend is also the Kentucky Derby. John, have you ever wagered on a horse race?
Yes, I have. I've been to Louisiana Downs. I've
actually been there too.
Oh, Barry, why can't I? In Lexington.
Keeneland?
Keeneland, yes. Golly, what am I doing here? So yes, and the thing about horse racing, it seems to take longer in between races than it did with the pups. I wasn't a big dog racing guy, but they got those pups in the box quick.
Yeah,
I mean those races were
moving
quicker.
them on. Yeah. Used to have those out at Victoryland.
Yep.
And John and I had been out before. I had been out there before for a tour one time. I've never bet on any of it, but a buddy of mine who says he knows something. He says something that has always stuck with me, and maybe it's common knowledge, but always bet on the horse that evacuates his bowels the latest.
Yes. Now, that's kind of an old wives' tale I've heard.
I don't think that's,
Nah, has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with it.
I'm telling you, Andre Smith ain't beating Devontae Smith in a foot race just because Andre hit the bathroom stall first. I mean,
sure.
That doesn't have a lot to do with it. But
I've heard people at weigh-ins, boxers. I'm not sure that's that big of a deal either. But if that floats their boat, so be it. Who knows? But yes, I have bet on a horse race before. Yes, to answer. I mean, I can't even believe you asked me that.
Well, I've never been to a horse track. Before. I mean, I've been to the Birmingham race course, but that was this past Christmas with my son and his wife and the grandkids because they had a little light show out there, but that was way past its prime and its original intent. I like the names. The favorite horse is journalism.
I like that.
Somebody told me journalism was dead,
Woo.
but they meant the actual career. Journalism at 3-1. Some people have it 7-2. Rodriguez is a scratch, a late scratch. There are several horses, like 7 or 8 horses, that are off at 30-1, including Chunk of Gold and Owen Almighty, which was actually a pretty good movie with Stephen Carell.
Barry, there's saw this article earlier today. Let me see where right here.
Yeah.
This is AL.com. Meet the Alabama native and Auburn fan. Did they have to tell us that? Who owns a 2025 Kentucky Derby horse? I don't care that he's an Auburn fan. So why
I don't know. They do that all the time. They do that all the time with stuff. So-and-so's an Auburn fan. Such and such and so-and-so was involved in a 3-car pileup on I-265 or I-65 with a couple of Alabama fans. Who cares? He survived.
I saw that and it's in parentheses. And Auburn, this is the headline. I mean, really? Does that really matter? Okay.
It didn't have anything to do with the story at all. Some guy who says, he needed a hobby, right? Some guy needed a hobby. He didn't like hunting. He didn't like fishing. Who doesn't like fishing? He tried golf, but he was unsuccessful at it. Yep, been there too.
Yeah.
So he decided to buy a horse. All right, okay. So what does being the Auburn fan have to do with any of this?
So Barry, is that going to lead me not to bet on this horse? Well, I mean, now that he's an Auburn fan, I ain't betting on that horse.
I bet a lot of people feel that way. I ain't betting on an Aub's horse. The horse ain't an Auburn fan. The horse don't even know what Auburn is.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Yes. So
it is. Yes, I have bet on a horse race. I'm trying to think of something I haven't bet on, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that I haven't, but there's a lot of things that I have.
It's funny because the baseball coach at Troy, Skylar Meade, who's been a guest before, he's from Louisville. Went to school at the University of Louisville, pitched in the College World Series for Louisville and all that. He's invested in his hometown and everything. He says it's amazing. Churchill Downs. I've been to Churchill Downs, but not for a race. He says it's incredible.
The horse it is, and there again, Barry, it's kind of a party event, kind of a cocktail party. Sure. You dress up and a race takes off. You're wagering, you're betting. Okay, when we come back, we're going to check in with our friend Bryan Reynolds, the director of golf at Camden Ridge on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail. He's going to hop in for a quick visit to tell us what's going on right there. On our Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry email inbox, Coach says, did y'all see the sign at the Trump protest in Tuscaloosa? Well, I can stop you right there. No, because I didn't see anything about a protest. It said, hey, Trump, if UAT didn't have 70% of out-of-state students, there would not be any protest. WDE, that's from Coach. I don't know where that person got their numbers because they do not have 70% of out-of-state students, but they got a lot.
It's a majority, I would imagine.
It is not 70%. When my girls were freshmen, their freshman class were 52% of out-of-state students.
Yeah, there is a lot. But I did not see that sign. I imagine there were some signs out there. Somebody said that all the protesters were old. I don't know. Anyway.
Maybe they shipped them in from out of state.
If you want to, you can always email us. Coach is a good emailer. Yep. It's Longshore and McKnight at gmail.com. We have gotten a special dispensation. Chris the Bammer has put a sword on either of our shoulders and says, y'all can spin. We'll do that coming up in just a moment as well. Coming. Bryan Reynolds from Cambrian Ridge on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail joins us next. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Well, maybe not.
Let's keep going. What do you say?
Yeah, man, I'm not sure what happened there, but that will lead me into another topic.
Okay.
And Dennis asked about this. something about a surprise team in the SEC in
Yes.
college football.
Yes. Who's our
Um,
pick as a surprise team? And I mentioned it yesterday. No, nobody really knows. It's way too early to go through rankings and stuff like that. I think, for instance, this whole thing was born by a conversation about the University of Texas. I think Texas is the best team. I think Georgia's right behind. And after that, I'm not sure it's all that close. But if I had to pick a surprise team who could come in and jumble things up, it's the Florida Gators. I believe that they have the wherewithal. The schedule's tough. As a matter of fact, Texas is a lot more talented than Florida, and their schedule is about 3 times easier than Florida's is. But I'm talking about just coming in and jumbling things up. I think Florida is going to surprise a lot of people this year.
Yeah, I mentioned LSU yesterday.
Yep.
I think, like their schedule. I like that they've got Garrett Nussmeier coming back. Some people say he's a legitimate Heisman candidate. We'll see. Got a really good wide receiver room. Defense has been a problem with LSU, but I'm going with them, and I like their schedule as well. But, Dennis, I want to expand on that even more.
All right, there we go.
I want to expand on quarterbacks in the SEC. When it comes to 2025, spring practice is wrapped up. Where are we in terms of SEC quarterbacks from 1 to 16? And I know a lot of people are going to have Arch Manning on the list, but have we seen enough of him to put him high on the list? I don't think so. But some people have him as high as 4th out of 16 quarterbacks in the SEC. What does that say about the rest of the quarterbacks in this league?
It's not – I don't think it's a great year for quarterbacks. If you want to look yesterday, Saturday Down South, our buddy Connor O'Gara, he didn't write this one, but SaturdayDownSouth.com ranked every SEC starting quarterback, projected starting quarterback this year by confidence. Confidence in that quarterback. And they have, as they're confident in this quarterback more than any other, number 1, to John's point, Garrett Nussmeier from LSU, who, Saturday Down South thinks could be the first player drafted in the 2026 draft. Number 2, Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt. Number 3, DJ Lagway from Florida. Number 4, Lenore Sellers from South Carolina. Arch Manning, number 6. Just need to see him do it against a quality opponent and not in mop-up duty against some of these other teams or in situational stuff. Taylon Green from Arkansas, number 7. Joey Aguilar from Tennessee, number 8. Look, he's a good quarterback. I called the game when he played a couple of games. Well, I called the game when he played in the Sun Belt Championship game against Troy in Troy, and he got the slobber knocked out of him. He's going to be at Tennessee. He's the 8th most confident guy. In case you're wondering.
So when was this
yesterday
released?
May 1st.
Yesterday. Okay.
Yesterday, May 1st, Saturday Down South. Ty Simpson, number 12.
So I'm looking at something that O'Gara published on April the 29th, which was 3 days ago.
Yeah, well, this is a guy named Derek Peterson who wrote this one yesterday. And he's got he's got Ty Simpson from Alabama, number 12. Zach Calzada at Kentucky. Is he at Kentucky now?
Is he?
He was the savior at Auburn. Then he was at Incarnate Word.
Oh, that's
now
right.
Now he's at Kentucky?
Yeah.
He was great at Incarnate. Then Jackson Arnold. Are you telling me that this guy is more confident in Zach Calzada as the quarterback at Kentucky, a former Auburn quarterback, than current Auburn quarterback Jackson Arnold? At number 15, right ahead of Bo Pribula from Missouri. Jackson Arnold, number 15 out of 16? Now he's taking Arnold had his part in one of college football's most sluggish offenses. Now he's taking over a Hugh Freeze offense that is routinely proven to be challenging for quarterbacks.
So,
ouch.
Okay, all right, I see that. And I'm looking at our friend Connor O'Gara's
Okay, I'm looking. I'll look.
poll, a little bit different. He's got Nussmeier at 1, probably because he's, got a lot of experience and of all the quarterbacks. I'm not sure he's a Heisman candidate. Your man, DJ Lagway, I know you're high on him, got him in
Like
the
him a
3rd
lot.
spot.
All right.
Got Arch Manning at 4. I got to see more. Got to see more out of Manning. Pavia at 5. Get that. Austin Simmons at Ole Miss. Have I seen enough? Have I seen enough of him? Ty Simpson at 10. Maybe this is a little bit too modern of an approach, but the thing I keep coming back to with Simpson is this. Why did it take until year 4 for him to seize the opportunity? Great question. With all due respect to Jalen Milroe, he left the door open multiple times for Simpson to take that opportunity, and he did not. If Simpson doesn't seize the opportunity this time, the opportunity to work with Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer was an 8-figure move for Michael Penix Jr. He could be giving way to 5-star true freshman Keelan Russell. Okay, maybe so.
Maybe
I think Ty
so.
Simpson gets the start, but will he start by the 3rd Saturday in October? How about number 13, Jackson Arnold of Auburn? I thought his
13? What is up with that?
How many teams are there in the league?
16.
16. Yeah. Jackson Arnold.
That's where he needs to be. Auburn flourishes like that. Maybe that's the thing.
Well, okay. I get that. The
Yeah.
thing that could be most concerning about Jackson Arnold, there were 19 SEC quarterbacks who attempted at least 15 passes that were 20 yards downfield.
Yeah.
And among them, Arnold ranked 19th with a 26.7% adjusted completion percentage. I love that ACP rating.
Adjusted completion percentage?
I like that.
What is that?
That Oklahoma offensive line didn't exactly give Arnold a ton of time back there, but he only had a 94.3 NFL QB rating when he was
QBR,
kept
John
clean.
knows what that is.
When he was kept clean, which was last among SEC quarterbacks with at least 100 dropbacks. Woo! And is the offensive line at Auburn going to be a strong suit this year?
Oh, yeah. Haven't you heard?
Oh,
You haven't been paying attention.
okay.
Yeah.
Wow. But I'm with you. You don't want a quarterback that's getting a lot of hype, a lot of excitement, a lot of buzz. You know what happens? Falls flat.
Yeah.
So you're right. Let a guy kind of come in there under the headlines and surprise the Auburn Nation.
Let's see if we can take a break now and hit the topic wheel when we come back. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
I don't like our chances.
Yep.
We got some network control issues up there in the studio.
Yes.
We'll get that worked out here.
Let's do this.
I'm getting a lot more pictures. Look at that. Wow. Unbelievable.
Let's do this. I'm in Mobile. Nothing happening tonight until tonight when Troy baseball opens up a 3-game series against South Alabama. Troy's in 3rd place in the league. South Alabama, I think, is in 12th. Troy is ranked in all the major polls. Only 9 games left in Sun Belt play. So it really starts getting going tonight. Again, the game starts at 5 because of weather. It's not a 6 o'clock start time. So right now we're just kind of hanging out.
I got a question about that. I mean, I'm sure they've probably gotten the NOL weather radio, radar, whatever it is, barometric pressure guys. I'm just curious, is an hour going to make that much difference? I would have thought you'd start like 3 o'clock.
Evidently so. Evidently
maybe
so.
They have pinpointed it down. If we start at 6, we're going to get wet. We start at 5, we're probably not. I'm
back in the olden days, they didn't know. They didn't know.
Yeah,
I mean, they just say, "Hey, looks like rain." You know, I hear it's raining over there in Pascagoula right now. How do you know? Well, my buddy telegraphed or something like that. Now you can tell all that stuff. Look, chance of rain. If you ever look at some of the weather apps out there, they got the arc. You know, they got the graph. 40% chance of rain at 3. 70% chance of rain at 4. And you're thinking, wow, back in the olden days, they could have saved a lot of crops if they'd have known all that stuff, if they'd have had all of that.
That is pretty impressive. If they can, like I've got an app on my phone, Barry, and it'll tell me should stop raining in the next 15 minutes.
Yeah. Love that.
Love that. Pretty impressive.
Yeah. So, everybody's resting, eating breakfast, getting ready, big game tonight. Right now, where John is at Stivers Ford Lincoln on the Eastern Boulevard of the Troy Highway, they are open and rocking and ready for business today. If you can't make it by today, that's fine. Make it this weekend. It's a great weekend to come by Stivers Ford.
Oh, it is, Barry. There's no doubt about it, because here again, we're springing into savings here at Stivers in Montgomery with the month of May here, and you can certainly take advantage of some great spring deals. We've talked about employee pricing a lot. You pay what they pay across a full lineup of cars, trucks, and SUVs here at Stivers Ford in Montgomery. Employee pricing, beat the tariffs. I mean, come on. I mean, why would you want to deal with all of that? Because, of all the car manufacturers, nobody employs more Americans and builds their vehicles here in the United States. Vast majority of Ford. Yep. All the dealers, manufacturers cannot say that. So beat the tariffs here and get incredible deals. Also, the mobile service, Barry. They turn your driveway into a service bay. How about that?
If you say, I'm too busy to get down.
Yeah.
Look, your car, they already take care of all of your service needs. John and I both get emails when it's time for our video. Hey, guys, remember, your vehicle needs service after X number of miles. Come on by. You can get an appointment and all that. Or you can go by the quick lane. If you're late and you're thinking, man, I really have got to get my car serviced. I'm, 400 miles over my limit and everything. They got that figured out too. They will come to you. Whether you're at your business, they'll come whenever you're at work.
Yep,
and get
they will.
Yeah,
and so whether it's
do
your
it at home too. Yeah,
your business, wherever you may be.
Yep.
Say you want to go up to RTJ Capitol Hill and you're playing golf. Just say, hey, my vehicle's in the parking lot at RTJ. I'm going to be playing golf.
Yeah.
I'll be out on the course about 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
Can you squeeze me in during? They'll come to you.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of it.
And they'll either text you when they're done, or they'll get on Dr. Beeper's beeper and let them know that you're out there.
Look, they're not going to snake a tube down your radiator or something and be
exactly
there in 4
right.
or 5 hours.
Yeah. And Wang says, where are they going to meet you at? And it's a parking lot, Wang.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go.
Fine. Yes.
And they're not coming in there and saying they want 4 of those and 6 of these and 7 of those. And
that's exactly
look at that
right.
hat. It's terrible.
Uh-huh.
So take advantage of the mobile service offered by Stivers Ford, as well as their incredible deals. F-150s, America's best-selling truck for almost 50 straight years. They're getting close to that 50-year mark. And incredible savings. Get the Ford F-150 Lightning up to $15,000 off for 0% plus 0% for 75 months. So it's a great, great time to come out. We mentioned the Broncos, loaded up with Broncos as you drive into the dealership here. Okay. Now it's time to get serious about something.
Stop kidding around. We've been doing some kidding around.
Yeah.
This is not the time for kidding around anymore.
The Atlanta Braves are hosting the defending World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers at Truist Park in Atlanta for a 3-game set beginning tonight.
Yes. Tonight at 6:15.
Yep. At Truist Park on what network?
It is on actually a couple of networks.
Oh.
FanDuel Sports Network South and FanDuel Sports Network Southeast. And on the Major League Baseball Network, but you can't get that in Atlanta. So
you cannot.
Yeah.
The Atlanta Braves hosting the defending World Series champions at home. To me, this is a jump start for the Braves. It's been a slow start. We talked about, they were 0-7 at one point, but they've scratched and clawed their way back. Barry, to me, taking 2 of 3, huge for the Braves this weekend. But if they can sweep the Dodgers in Atlanta, I'll have a totally different attitude about the Braves come Monday.
Disagree. I will have to see it to believe it. Here's what happens, and the Braves can do it, especially since they're at home. They can get it done. I'm not saying they will, but it's not beyond the realm of possibility. But if it happens on Monday, this is what you'll hear. Well, they got lucky in that one game. Somebody closed his eyes and swung as hard as he could and magically connected with the ball, and it just barely eked over the wall in right. Or, well, if that starter hadn't gotten a sore arm and pulled him too early, then the Dodgers, they will be excuses galore about. Even if he doesn't say that, even if John gets on there and says, I have got to give it up for the Braves. Boy, they have a look of a champion. They really showed me a lot. You know what it's going to play like on these airwaves or whatever you call being on the internet? It's going to play like, I want to get you Braves fans excited. I love to see you Braves fans giddy and happy and doing the tomahawk chop and all that kind of stuff, because I know you're going to get your heart broken in the postseason anyway. It'll come across as insincere if in the first week of May, John says, Braves fans, I'm for you. I'm seeing something special from this team. I'm seeing a march all the way to the postseason and beyond.
Let me stop you right there.
John, you're setting us up again.
Let me stop you right there, because I got to become completely clean here. I got to be forthright.
Transparent, yes.
I can't, in all honesty, Monday, if that happens, say, I see all I'm looking at is the scores. I'm not planning on watching a minute of these 3 games.
So if you're asking for a breakdown from John on Monday, well, Barry, I think the 3rd inning in game 2 was really critical. Remember when, I don't know. Remember when Schwellenbach pitches tonight. Remember when he had the 0-2 count on that hitter and gave up the double? I thought it was a great. He ain't going to do that. That ain't going to. Yeah,
that ain't going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and
I'll take your word for it, Barry.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here come Monday and try to come across that I sat there and broke it down, analyzed it, scored the game, whatever.
Yeah, hung on every pitch.
No, I'm going to go now. That's what John from Wetumpka's for. Robbie from Greenville, to tell me what happened over the weekend, because I'm not planning on doing that. I know it's going to be rainy. Does that mean I might not have anything to do? So I'll watch the Braves? Doubtful.
Yeah.
So I'm going to look at the score.
He has a list of about 375,000 things to do before he goes and watches the Braves.
So I'm going to look at the scores. I'll wake up tomorrow, brew some coffee, get on the internet. Oh, look at that. Braves won last night. Do the same thing Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, Monday too. Great. So awesome. So if they do, I'm going to have to go for the sweep. I'm not going 2 out of 3. That's not going to impress me. If they sweep the Dodgers this weekend, I will try to be as sincere about it as I can. I'll just go ahead and tell you right now. If they do win all 3 this weekend, I'll be impressed.
Now, again, look at John. Again, this point needs to be made, and I like them both. I'm a Braves fan. I'm a Dodgers fan. I like them both. I'm very happy that the Dodgers won it last year. The Braves payroll is pretty big. They're the number 8 payroll in Major League Baseball. $214 million. It still boggles my mind. 214. The Dodgers, $321 million payroll. So they've got the second highest payroll in the major leagues, behind only the Mets. And John says, they need to sweep him. They need to sweep him.
Yeah.
If they're going to gain my respect. The Dodgers pay, what, $80 million more than the Braves do? And John said, Braves ought to win all three. They're playing at home. No, that's unrealistic.
I disagree. I totally disagree. These are professional athletes. They're really, really good. They're playing at home. I think they can do it. Now, will they do it? Who knows? That's why we're going to have to wait and see. But I'll say this. If they do sweep the Dodgers, you're going to see a new, invigorated Braves fan base start to appear.
And that's what John wants. That's what John's
after. Are going to come out of the woodwork, and they're going to be doing their tomahawk chop and all this. See, where you people been? I mean, we've been playing a month of baseball, and it's like crickets.
You're going to be going to Publix. You're going to be going down there. You're going to see Acuna jerseys out there. You're going to see Braves caps on, and John's going to say, oh, yeah. Got them where I want them now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I haven't heard a peep from you people. I mean, look, I love Mal's cracks on the Braves. I hope those continue. I know they will no matter what happens with the Braves.
I do.
But I miss some of you people. I really do. And it's kind of like Auburn fans. I miss some of you too. We'll see how that plays out. But that's what's going to happen. They sweep the Braves, and it'll just, look at the Braves. They're back. They sweep the world champs. Freddie Freeman got a taste of it, blah, blah, blah.
On the other side of things, if the Dodgers win 2 out of 3, where's Mal? Where's Mal over here? And John going to be like, see, I told you, the Braves are going to choke. They don't have it this year. If they had a World Series played at the end of every April, the Braves would have won, 15. They ain't got it. I know they had a little winning streak here, and, I suppose those kind of things happen. But Braves fans hate it for you.
Yeah.
But you just don't have the players this year, and it's probably for the best, so you don't get your hopes all up when you sneak into the playoffs by the skin of your teeth and then ultimately lose ignominiously in the playoffs, and then your hearts get broken again. So this is probably good news for you, Braves fans, because you're not any good.
That's a good, interesting way to look at it. That's an interesting way to look at it, because I think, the record shows, I've told these Braves fans over the years, don't get your hopes up. Don't give me this 100-win regular season business. Don't want to hear it, because when you get to the postseason, more times than not, you're putting the bats and balls and gloves up way before you were expecting to.
You got that buddy of yours that you've known for years, and he's single, and you guys are out eating dinner, and there's this absolute knockout of a girl sitting over there at the bar by herself.
Yeah.
Looks gorgeous, really well dressed. And he says, John, I'm going to go up and talk. He said, I'm telling you, she ain't worth it. She looks like she's a handful. Yeah, but boy, she sure does look nice, and she smells nice. I'm just saying. And sure enough, he goes over there and they hit it off. And then 8 months later, here he is at your doorstep, crying. Oh, you told me about it. This is the same thing. I know if the Braves sweep the Dodgers, you're going to say, are we going to do it this year? Heck yeah, we're going to do it. No, I don't know. I don't know if they're worth it. You're going to get your heart broken at the very end. I don't know. I got to do it. And they're going to do it again. And John's going to be there for you in postseason saying, I told you so.
Told you.
I told you not to. I told you not to go up to that girl. I told you not to get emotionally invested. And here you are. It's 2:00 in the morning, and you're knocking on my door drunkenly asking me to open it up so you can come talk.
And I will say, John from Wetumpka has been able to handle those situations a lot better. He's manned up and said, yeah, we just got beat. I'm a little surprised, a little disappointed. Robbie, on the other hand, is the excuse factory.
Well, when Acuna gets back, yeah.
Or when it happens, when they get eliminated from postseason after I've heard all this noise in the regular season,
Yeah.
and then they crash and burn in the postseason. That's when the Robbie excuse factory starts. And I got to admit, I'm amused by that type of stuff. Maybe I shouldn't be. I should not revel and take joy in other people's disappointment.
But he's only human. He's only human. He's just one man, you know. We all have our shortcomings. Well,
all right. So Monday, Barry, on the show, we'll be recapping to see if the Braves were able to pull this off. I know it's a tall order. Look, folks, I know I'm asking a lot, but hey,
it ain't easy.
What did Casey Kasem say? You got to
keep
reach
your
for
feet
the
on the
stars.
ground and keep reaching for cigars. For the stars. Yeah. We'll talk about all that on Monday. We'll have special guests and all that kind of stuff in another week. It's been a great week. John closes it out at Stivers Ford Lincoln on the Eastern Boulevard at the Troy Highway, where Price sells cars.
Employee pricing, Barry. You pay what they pay across the full lineup of cars, trucks, and SUVs. Let's beat the tariffs and get great employee pricing here at Stivers, well below what anybody else, whether it's F-150s, Broncos, the Expedition, the Explorer, the Ford Escape, the Ford Edge, the new Maverick lineup, the Mustang lineup as well. It is all right here. Of course, the Lincoln Luxury for Less lineup at Stivers Ford in Montgomery. Come by and see them during this Derby weekend, and you'll be off to the races in your new vehicle.
He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.